How is the Brechtian method different from the Stanislavski method?
It's different because with the Stanislavski method, which is really the origin of most of what we are basing our system on here at KSU, that is based on empathy and the actor learning how to identify from the character, to literally put themselves in the character's shoes. It's said that with Stanislavski, all great art, great performances come from the subconscious. This is not true with Brechtian performance techniques. There is a sense where Brecht does want the actor to be able to live inside of the character. And when the actor does that, the audience can identify with the character. But the added element for Brecht is that the character is being commented on by the performer and judged, in a sense. So the actor is playing a dual role in Brechtian theory and Brechtian performance strategies. He's both embodying the character, but at times he's also acting as a social commentary, or providing a social commentary through his performance. He is a social commentator and commenting on the actions of the character. So at one moment there's a sense that if I'm playing the role, I'm inside of the character, behaving as the character would. At another moment, I might almost step outside of the character, actively look at the audience as if to say, isn't that just the way? So I would say that's the primary difference.
And then, what's the challenge? I mean, I'm sure there's some, at least for the first couple of months that you were bringing this class together with Karen. What was the biggest challenge? What was your hope that the students would find in it, and then actually be able to bring it over to session one? And you can do that in 2 parts.
There are a lot of challenges. One challenge is really learning a whole new vocabulary. The Stanislavskian techniques are based on Aristotle's dramaturgy, that way of looking at the material. But Brecht is very clear about drawing a distinction between the Aristotelian way of looking at the material and the epic theater. Epic theater is a term that he and Erwin Piscator coined to describe this form of theater, which is episodic. In other words, each of the scenes sort of operate almost as individual units, where it deliberately clicks into narrative mode. So the actors move from embodying the characters to a state of to narrating the characters and commenting on, or as Brecht says, quoting on the characters. It's a whole new way of looking at the material. The big mistake, and here's one of the big challenges, one of the big mistakes that people, as they're just learning about Brecht, begin to make is they think it's all about alienation, which is the term he used. It's all about disconnecting from the character, and that isn't so. What's complicated is Brecht wanted his actors to be able to do both. And so when you're dealing with both of these variables, it's hard to find the balance. So teaching in class has been a real joy, because I'm treating the classroom like a laboratory where we're experimenting with these techniques. But what becomes increasingly apparent is that there is a huge range of possibilities in the classroom. So that's one challenge, that there's a huge range of possibilities. The amount of possibilities on this scale between epic performance strategies and traditional Aristotelian ones. Another challenge is we're having to deliberately do things that we've worked so hard not to do in the other classes. You're nodding your head because you're in the class and you know. One example is, In acting 2, for instance, which is a contemporary scene study class, I pound into the actor's head. When you're talking about the character, I don't say him, I say I. I did this, I feel that way. The point of that is to establish empathy so that I identify with the character. The character, when I say, how tall is the character? This tall. How wide are the character's arms? That wide. Because I am the character. In with Brecht's ideas, I'm encouraging you to do the opposite. I want you, when you talk about the character, to say he. I want you to separate yourself from the character. Rather than justifying the unusual behavior of this character, I want you to take note of the things that astonish you. It's weird. When you read the play and you think, it's really weird that my character is doing this thing, but not this thing over here. With a traditional technique, we would try to justify that, to explain away that. But with Brecht, I don't want to do that. I want to magnify, I want to heighten, I want to draw attention to the unexpected. Also within Brecht, and I don't think that this is in conflict with Stanislavski, but he talks about it in a slightly different way. He talks about contradictions, about actively seeking out the contradictions in a single character's behavior. So for example, in Mother Courage, there is a scene where Mother Courage is pleading for the life of her son by bargaining. These soldiers have taken him. They think he's a spy, and they're going to execute him unless Mother Courage can bribe them. Well, she obviously wants to bribe them because it's very clear that she wants to save her son, but at the same time, there's a part of her that wants to make sure that she gets a good deal. So as she's bargaining for her son's life, she wants to make sure, she keeps sending the person back, oh, that's too much. And her son ends up being executed. Well, what's amazing about this scene is we see the opposing forces that are working on Mother Courage. On the one hand, she wants to save her son. On the other hand, she is a very smart business person and shrewd business person. And she wants to make sure she's making the most of her money. And what's fascinating about the role is we see the interplay of those two contradictions within the same person.